Section 41 of The Toilers of the Sea by Victor Hugo. This recording is in the public domain, read by John Greenman. Book Sixth, The Drunken Helmsman and the Sober Captain. Chapter 1, The Douvres Rocks. About 5 leagues out on the open sea, to the south of Guernsey, opposite the point of Pleinmont, between the Channel Islands and St. Malo, lies a group of rocks called the Douvres. This spot is dangerous. This title, Douvres, Dover, belongs to many rocks and cliffs. There is, especially near the Côte du Nord, a Douvres rock on which a lighthouse is now in process of construction, a dangerous reef, but which must not be confounded with this one. The point of France nearest to the Douvres is Cape Breton. The Douvres lie a little farther from the coast of France than from the first island of the Norman archipelago. The distance of that reef from Jersey is pretty nearly measured by the extreme length of Jersey. If the island of Jersey were turned upon La Corbière as upon a hinge, Point Sainte Catherine would almost strike the Douvres. This makes a distance of more than 4 leagues. In these civilized seas the most savage rocks are rarely desert places. Smugglers are to be met with at Hago, custom house officers at Binique, Celts at Bréhat, oyster dredgers at Cancale, rabbit hunters at Césambre, Caesar's Island, crab catchers at Brécourt, trawlers at the Maquière, wreckers at Écrehou. At the Douvres, no one. There the seabirds alone are at home. No place is more dreaded. The Casquet, where, it is said, the Blanche Nef was lost, the bank of Calvados, the Needles of the Isle of Wight, the Ronesse, which renders the coast of Beaulieu so dangerous, the shallows of Préel, which block the entrance to Merkel, and which compel the placing of the red-painted beacon at 20 fathoms of water, the treacherous approach to the Etable and Pluha, the 2 granite Druids on the south of Guernsey, Old Anderlo and Little Anderlo, the Corbière, the Hanways, the Isle of Ras, connected with terror by this proverb: Si jamais tu passes le Ras, si tu ne meurs, tu trembleras. If you ever pass the Ras, if you do not die, you will tremble. The Morte Femme, the passage of the Bourg and the Frouquille, the Déroute between Guernsey and Jersey, the Hartwant between the Maquière and Chaussee, the Moret Cheval between Boulay Bay and Barneville, all have a less evil reputation. It would be better to face all these reefs one after the other than the Douvres a single time. In that perilous sea of the Channel, which is the Aegean Sea of the West, the Douvres has no equal in terror except the Paternoster reef between Guernsey and Sark. And again, from the Paternoster one can make a signal. A vessel in distress there can obtain assistance. To the north, Point Dicard or Dicare is visible, and to the south Gronet. From the Douvres nothing is to be seen. Storm, water, cloud, the limitless, the uninhabited. Nothing goes there except when astray. The granite cliffs are of enormous and hideous size, precipices everywhere, stern, inhospitable abyss. It is in the open sea. The water is very deep there. A reef absolutely isolated like the Douvres attracts and shelters animals who require to be far away from man. It is a sort of vast submarine madrepore. It is a sunken labyrinth. There, at a depth reached only with difficulty by divers, are caverns, dens, lairs, the crossings of dark streets. Monstrous creatures swarm there. They devour one another. The crabs eat the fish, and are in turn eaten themselves. Terrible living forms, not made to be seen by human eyes, wander through this gloom. Vague lineaments of antennae, tentacles, gills, fins, yawning jaws, scales, claws, nippers float there, quiver, grow huge, decompose, and are effaced in the fatal transparency. Frightful swimming swarms prowl about, doing their work. It is a hive of hydras. The horrible is there, the imaginary. Imagine, if you can, a nest of holothurians. To look into the depths of the sea is to behold the imagination of the unknown. It is to see it from the terrible side. The gulf is analogous to the night. There also there is sleep, apparent sleep at least, of the conscience of creation. There, in full security, are accomplished the crimes of the irresponsible. There, in a frightful place, the rough drafts of life, almost phantoms, wholly demons, fulfill the fierce occupations of darkness. 40 years ago 2 rocks of singular form indicated the Douvres reef to passers-by on the ocean. These were 2 vertical points, sharp and curving, whose tips almost touched each other. One might fancy them to be the tusks of a submerged elephant, rising out of the sea, only they were the tusks, tall as towers, of an elephant as large as a mountain. These 2 natural towers of the obscure city of monsters left between them only a narrow passage through which the waters dashed. This tortuous passage, with many crooked turns in its length, resembled a section of street between 2 walls. These twin rocks were called the Douvres. There was the Great Douvre and the Little Douvre. One was 60 feet high, the other 40. The action of the water finally sawed into the base of these towers, and the violent equinoctial storm of the 25th of October, 1859, overthrew one of them. The one which remains, the small one, is truncated and worn. One of the strangest rocks of the Douvres group is called the Man. This still exists. During the last century some fishermen who lost their way amid these breakers found a corpse on the summit of this rock. Beside the body lay a quantity of empty shells. A man had been shipwrecked on this rock, had taken refuge there, and had subsisted for some time on shellfish, and had died there. Hence this name, the Man. The solitudes of the sea are mournful. It is tumult and silence. What is done there no longer concerns the human race. It is of unknown utility. Such is the isolation of the Douvres. All about, as far as the eye can reach, is the immense ferment of the waves. End of Chapter 1, The Douvres Rocks,